Hi everyone, Jenny McNamara here. I'm a licensed associate marriage and family therapist with Touching Trees Counseling and Relationship Services in St. Paul, Minnesota. Thanks for joining me today. This video is about the third realm of change when you are in an everlasting divorce, experiencing an everlasting divorce, a high conflict post-divorce relationship that doesn't seem to want to end. So this section on this particular realm of change is really quite critical, because without changing some of the emotions that we're feeling around the everlasting divorce, it's really difficult to make some of the other changes we need to. I'd like for you to think about making emotional changes in terms of those feelings that you have when you read a novel or watch a particularly gripping movie. And you know how you can experience feelings, even though they aren't yours, you're kind of experiencing a character's feelings and you're getting sort of drawn along in the story. One way that we can make changes in our emotions regarding our everlasting divorce is to start to change the story. We call it sometimes a narrative, changing the narrative. What is the story that you want to tell going forward? Changing your story can change your feelings about your story. I have a great book here. It's called Transformational Divorce. It's by Karen Conn Wilson. It's a little bit older. It was published in 2003. It's also written kind of specifically for women, but there were some key elements in it that I think can help explain and understand a process by which you can make changes in your emotions about your everlasting divorce. I wanted to read you this one paragraph. Many divorced, and I also wanted to say, she refers to women in this, but I think this can be used for men and women, but she writes for women. Many divorced and divorcing women say they feel stuck in the past. They say that they cannot stop thinking about their former husband, even if they have concluded that he is not the right mate for them. They feel depressed that the marriage is over, even if they believe that the marriage was unsatisfying. And they're unable to do anything but stay at home, go to work, and take care of the children, even when they admit that these limited activities are not productive or fun. It's as if there is a little woman deep inside who believes that dwelling on the past will somehow change it, or that feeling angry at a former husband will punish him for the pain he's caused. Sound familiar? These thoughts are irrational, and yet you may cling to them. They are a lifeline to what is familiar, and they provide protection from entering new territory that feels risky and frightening. And yet, somewhere within, you know that if you don't venture along a new path, you'll be doomed to a life defined by negativity, pessimism, loss, and deprivation. So what Dr. Wilson is speaking of here is that getting stuck, the stuckness of being sort of emotionally tied to the history, to the things that have happened to you as a result of this divorce. In a different part of the book, she talks about the importance of clarity, and clarity can be a great, getting clarity can be a great place to start when you are ready to make some changes in your emotional attachment to the everlasting divorce. So I wanted to point out some of the questions she asks in this part of the book, because they are questions you can ask yourself, even if you're just sitting at home watching this video, or you've watched it and you want to jot some things down in a journal. These are questions that will help you think about not just your role in the relationship, but also your upbringing and how you were kind of raised to think about relationships, and also a real way to identify your feelings. And it's once we can identify some of those feelings that we can start to change the story about them. So here are a few of the questions. When did I feel most vulnerable in my marriage? I think that's a great question, because it gets to the heart of what were my fears in the marriage. When did I feel the most empowered? What gifts did I bring? What did I contribute to the difficulties? What were the most difficult times for me in the marriage? What circumstances brought up my anger? When was I not as honest as I could have been? To what extent was I able to share love openly? To what extent was I able to disagree openly? Within myself, what blocked me from expressing myself? What activities did I not pursue because of the marriage? What special dreams did I not pursue because I was married? In what areas did the marriage help me grow? What do I wish I had done differently? What made me a good partner? In what ways was I and was I not a nurturing partner? To what extent was I an open, sharing partner? And in what ways was I a selfish partner? Looking at some of those or answering some of those questions for yourself can give you a more clear idea of who you were in that relationship. That can help change the story. If you're feeling very victimized, which you might be, it can help change the story because it empowers you to say, okay, that was me. That was part of my contribution to this, and so now I can move forward. Another thing to consider is the idea of closure. When we think of changing our emotions and changing how we feel about the everlasting divorce or our ex-partner or all of the drama that has gone before, we think about the value of achieving closure, gaining closure, reaching closure. And I'd like for you to think about your expectations of closure, because those can be kind of limiting. Sometimes we think that closure is a moment in time where you can shut the door and say, that's not going to bother me anymore because I'm just moving on and having a great life. That's not always realistic. So if we can adjust our expectations of closure, that can help us make some changes in our emotions around this everlasting divorce. So I'd like for you to think of closure as being a combo platter of 3 different things. The first is acceptance of the past. You may not like it, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's over, unfortunately, and it may have been horrific, and it may have been terribly sad and really devastating. But accepting that that's what it is can help you get to the next step, which is getting hope for the future. Finding it in yourself to say, okay, that happened to me, and it really sucked, but I am ready to have some hope for how my life might be better in the future. And then finally, the third part of it is creating some forward motion so that you can start achieving the little steps that will help you realize the hopes that you have for your future. So forward motion can be watching one of these videos, going to a website, joining a support group, getting a new job, any of those changes that you make in the financial realm of change. So how you spend your money, how you make your money, how you split your money with your ex. In the physical realm of change, how you exchange the children, how you coordinate when you're going to be in the same place. All of those things are forward motion steps. Every one of those little changes is forward motion. Each of those, along with creating some hope for yourself and accepting the past, will eventually get you to a place where you say, you know what, I think I do have some closure on that. I don't like that it happened. I wish it hadn't happened. There are things I would have done differently, but it's over, and I have closure because I'm a different person now. This is our last realm of change video. The next video that we're going to do is about creating your own inspired identity. And that is sort of the last step in leaving your everlasting divorce behind and in the dust, is creating this new you that isn't tied to all of that, isn't enmeshed with all of that, the drama and the pain and the hurt and the anger. So thank you for joining me today, and I'll have the next video up shortly. Thanks.